Could marijuana help fight cancer? Here's investigative reporter Eric Ross.
We talked with doctors who say a lot more research needs to be done for those claims to be validated. However, we found evidence of more parents allowing their children to use medical marijuana during chemotherapy to ease side effects. In Sierra Riddle's case, she stopped her son's chemo altogether. A dangerous move according to doctors, but one she believes saved her son's life.
Go Landon, go Landon.
Landon looks like your typical 4-year-old boy, riding his tricycle almost every afternoon, but Landon didn't always have this much energy.
Landon was 2.5 when he was diagnosed with aggressive T-cell ALL leukemia.
Sierra lived in Utah at the time and started Landon on chemotherapy. She says she watched his condition slowly deteriorate.
Within 3 months, he lost 50% of his body weight. He lost his ability to walk. He couldn't talk hardly anymore. He was suffering. And it was his narcotics, his food, his fats, his lipids, more narcotics.
Desperate for help, Sierra started searching for alternatives to chemo and found cannabis. Not every state supports medical marijuana, so she packed her bags and moved to Colorado Springs. In May 2013, Sierra made the drastic decision to stop chemotherapy altogether, believing it was doing more harm than good. Doctors disagreed and called the Department of Human Services, fearing Sierra was putting her son's life in danger.
One of Landon's doctors reported you to Child Protective Services. Walk me through that process. Here you are as a mother trying to save your child, and now you find yourself at the center of an investigation where you could very well lose your child.
It was unbelievable, honestly. You know, that's why my family moved us here, so that we could have safe and legal access. And when I told them, you know, we don't want to do chemo anymore, she told me, you don't have a choice.
Within 24 hours, Child Protective Services came knocking.
They expected to walk in and see, you know, cancer Landon, chemotherapy Landon, and they didn't. They saw this Landon running around, happy, eating, and he didn't even complete 40% of their treatment plan, and he's 24 months in remission almost. Hiya. And he continues to improve.
Dr. Amy Brooks Kale is the chief of neurology at Children's Hospital in Aurora and is familiar with medical marijuana treatments.
The use of it for children, which is obviously the area that I have the most experience with, is relatively newer, and it's really been in the last year or a little bit over that we've seen an increasingly number of children that are being given medical marijuana products.
She says marijuana is more common to treat children with epilepsy, but our investigation uncovered doctors at Children's Hospital are not allowed to prescribe pot to patients because there's simply too many unknowns.
There is a significantly increased risk in children, and that's because we know that children's brains respond differently to medications. We don't have a lot of scientific evidence in support of the use of medical marijuana products.
Something has to change. There's 46 children a day diagnosed with cancer. If we don't allow research on this, our children are going to continue dying. And I didn't want my child to die. Squeeze it into the capsule.
Sierra now makes cannabis oil at home and has a small marijuana garden out back.
So back here we have a few of Landon's plants.
Only time will tell whether there's a cure in the plant or whether Landon's turnaround is an isolated case.
Sierra says she has no plans to stop giving Landon cannabis, fearing his cancer could relapse. In addition to marijuana oil capsules, Sierra also lets her son use a vapor pen. Eric Ross, News 5 investigates.
All right, thanks very much, Eric. More than 200 children under the age of 10 now have medical marijuana cards in Colorado, used to treat children with cancer and epileptic seizures. Breaking down the numbers, 104 children with MMJ licenses are between the ages of 1 and 5. Another 110 patients are between 6 and 10 years old. Doctors say it could be another decade or longer before learning what effects medical marijuana could have on a child's brain. Colorado College's tradition of serving roughly 200 hot meals to the